Right now, a small glass rectangle sits within reach of your hand. You probably checked it in the last 10 minutes. It might be the most checked object in your whole life. A new study asks a strange question about that phone. Is it a form of birth control? The study came out of the National Bureau of Economic Research, and it went viral in about a week. Suddenly everyone was sharing the same headline: "Blame the iPhone for the baby bust." And the timing behind that claim is genuinely eerie. In June 2007, Apple put the first iPhone on sale. That same year, American births hit their highest level since 1971. About 2.1 children per woman, right at the replacement line. Then, the year the iPhone arrived, the line turned. Births fell the next year. And the next. They have dropped almost every year since. Today, an American woman has about 1.6 children. That is a 22% fall in the general birth rate since 2007. So, did the iPhone really cause the baby bust? The honest answer is stranger than the headline, and it has some genuinely good news in it. Start with why this idea is so tempting. Put two lines on one chart. One line is smartphone ownership. It climbed from a third of adults in 2011 to 9 in 10 today. The other line is the birth rate, sliding down the whole time. On the chart, they mirror each other almost perfectly. When two lines move like that, your brain screams one thing. One must have caused the other. But every statistician will warn you, correlation is not causation. Lines can move together and still be unrelated. So the real question is whether anyone could actually prove it. And one economist decided to try. Meet Caitlin Myers, an economist at Middlebury College. She faced one big problem. Almost everyone got a smartphone at the same time. With nobody to compare against, you cannot isolate the phone. So she found a loophole hidden in history. Think of it as a real experiment nobody planned. At launch, the iPhone worked on only one carrier, AT&T, and that deal lasted 4 years, from June 2007 to February 2011. So an iPhone was only useful where AT&T had coverage. History had accidentally split the country in two. Some counties had a strong AT&T signal. Right next door, others had almost none. Same country, same economy, same year. The only real difference was whether you could get an iPhone, so Myers compared their birth rates. And the gap was real. Where the iPhone arrived first, births fell faster. Her headline number is bold. The iPhone explains a third to a half of the fall in births among women under 45. Then she ran the test that makes it convincing. She checked the other carriers in the same years, Verizon and Sprint, before they sold any iPhone. If it were really the phone, their maps should show nothing. They showed nothing, a clean placebo. That is a genuinely careful piece of work. Still, it is early. The paper has not cleared peer review yet. So, case closed. The iPhone did it? Hold on, because the headline skipped the most important detail. The effect was not spread evenly. It landed almost entirely on young women. Births fell by as much as 8% among teenagers, a little less in the early 20s, and by your 30s, the effect nearly vanished, which points at the biggest thread in the whole story. Teenagers. The American teen birth rate has fallen 68% since 2007, from about 42 births per thousand teens down to 13. It is one of the steepest drops in the whole record. Now sit with that for a second. Is a country with far fewer teen pregnancies a tragedy? Most teen pregnancies were never planned. Fewer of them is a major public health win. Across the country, that is hundreds of thousands of pregnancies avoided, and it fits something researchers have tracked for years. Teenagers themselves changed. The psychologist Jane Twenk measured it. The share of high schoolers having sex fell from 54% to 41%. Dating, drinking, and going out all slid down together. A whole generation moved its social life onto a screen. So part of the effect is teenagers scrolling instead of getting pregnant. That half of the story is good news. But does the phone explain the whole baby bust? 3 problems say no. First, the decline started long before the iPhone. America slipped below replacement back in 1972. A phone cannot cause a trend that began decades earlier. Myers agrees on this point. She is explaining a deeper dip on an existing slope. Second, her study found no effect at all for black women. If a phone were simply birth control, why skip anyone? Something else is clearly in the mix. Third, and most honest, she names the weak spot herself. The strong signal counties were also more urban. Anything pulling city births down would look identical. And the decline is global, across countries with very different phones. Here is the cleanest catch of all. The internet does not only push births down. When fast home broadband reached Germany, births among college-educated women actually went up, because working from home let them combine a career and a kid. The web can clearly cut both ways. So the simple story, screens mean fewer babies, breaks down. So if it is not just the iPhone, what is going on? To find out, two economists spent years on this exact puzzle, Melissa Kearney and Philip Levine. In 2022, they put every usual suspect on trial: housing costs, childcare, and student debt. The recession, birth control, even religion. One by one, each suspect fell apart. None of them explained much of the drop after 2007. Their verdict in 2025 was humbling. There is no single lever anyone can pull. What they see is something slower and harder to name. A whole generation rebuilding what an adult life looks like. They call it shifting priorities, a career, more freedom, travel, and a partner found later. Parenthood still matters. It just shares a crowded calendar. And notice what these economists did not do. They did not laugh off the phone. They named the iPhone, email, and social media directly. They call them shocks that rewired how we work and meet. So the phone probably didn't start this fire. It mostly fed a fire that was already burning. And one number drives the point home. Births to women under 30 fell. But births to women over 30 actually rose. The early 30s are now peak baby years, a first on record. People did not stop wanting children. Many simply want them later, and fewer. So, did the iPhone cause the baby bust? Here is the honest answer. It gave a real, measurable shove to one slice of the story, mostly fewer teen pregnancies, which we should be glad about. And that shove sits on a decline that began back in the 1970s, a decline that runs far deeper than any single gadget. A third to a half, says the researcher who built the case. And even she says, and this is a direct quote, "We are not saying it is all the iPhone. The other half to two-thirds is still a real mystery. This is the honest frontier of the whole topic. A birth rate this low, that stays this low, is brand new in history. Nobody has solved it, anywhere. But before you panic, hold two things side by side. This is the slowest, biggest story of our lifetime. And a shrinking country is not the same as a crashing one. In almost every country that shrank, the average person got richer. Panic forecasts have a long history of being wrong. So look back at that glass rectangle in your hand. It changed how you sleep, how you talk, even how you date. Whether it changed your own mind about kids is the one thing it cannot answer for you. That answer was always going to be yours. This channel follows the whole story. The real numbers and the studies behind the headlines. We keep it calm and put every source on screen. If that sounds good, subscribe and stick around. Because the most important story of our lifetime deserves better than a scary headline.